it didn't come to the Senate, and therefore for me, it's a void law. Number two, it defines privatization to mean a transaction that results in a transfer other than to a public entity of assets and or liabilities of a public entity, including the shares in a public entity. Now, this one again kills this act. Because under the Constitution of Kenya, the proper reading of it, if I read it correctly, I think it is Article 68, Clause C, Paragraph Roman 4. Public land cannot be privatized in Kenya. So in a privatizing Kenya Pipeline Corporation, you cannot privatize the land it sits on. You cannot privatize anything but the land. And these land grabbers are after the land that is in public assets. That's why they're defining privatization as transferring anything.
I see.
So on that basis,
I actually see East African Portland Cement,
yes,
which is a real estate entity now, no? More than even cement company. It's a lot of land. So if you were to privatize EAPCC, it's basically just even transferring that land to private hands, and you're saying that is unconstitutional, Senator.
It is unconstitutional because the Constitution is deliberate about the laws on land. And that section I've just referred to, Article 68, Clause C, Paragraph Roman 4, states, Parliament shall enact legislation to protect, conserve, and provide access to all public land. There's nowhere where Parliament can legislate for public land to be privatized. You can only increase the size of public land by compulsory acquisition and whatever. You cannot privatize public land under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. This Privatization Act allows for that to happen. That you can buy KPC and acquire all the assets and are transferred to you, and therefore you'll own all that land from Mombasa
where the
to Malaba.
Does the Constitution expressly say that you cannot privatize?
Look at when you protect.
I hear that.
And
when you conserve.
It's not as specific. You're still like, where's the specific?
No, when you protect
and conserve.
And conserve. You know, it goes on legislation on land. There's a provision, Article 68, is legislation on land. What Parliament is allowed to do. And although that is listed, doesn't say that Parliament may do any other thing. So when you do legislation on land, your legislation must protect, conserve, and provide access to public land. Does not allow Parliament to come with a law that privatizes public land. You can't privatize public land in Kenya.
Senate, I might be lost. What does the current law say about privatization?
Which one?
That's what I'm asking.
Is there something that exists by this?
This is, yes.
No, there was an issue. There was the 205 law. Under President Mwai Kibaki, which people found unpalatable, those who want to grab land. So they came up with the 2023 law, which repealed the 2005 law. Somebody went to court. Fortunately, it was not me. Somebody went to court. No, I'm saying fortunately because not every people think, some people think that I just was things. But when somebody else goes to court, I say, okay, then I think I'm also normal. Because other people are also thinking like me. So somebody went to court, and the Honorable Chacha Mwita invalidated that law of 2023. So went back to the 2005 law. Now, the 2005 law is not the one that was in force, and now it's the one being repealed by this thing.
What does it provide?
What does it provide for?
I mean, why did we need to amend it?
But they didn't even amend, they're overhauling it.
I mean, why did you need to rewrite the law on privatization?
Because the law restricted the hand of those who want to grab land. The law was faithful to the Constitution.
And so it was before the Constitution.
Yeah, it was before the Constitution, but this was what the Constitution also took onto board a lot of things that were done before the Constitution. Like if you get the ASECA, the Economic Crimes Act, Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, was done in 2003. It's still being, it was influenced and the information of the ethics and corruption, whatever. So it is there. So basically now, there's an attempt to go around the Constitution and undermine these protections. So when the government, the parliament has only the capacity on law, when legislating on law, on land, it has to protect, conserve, and provide access to all public land. Provide access to all public land. Now, how does that sit, even with the question of Article 201, which talks about the principles of public finance, whereby in Section C, what you have done today to benefit future generations. Now, they are saying that they want to sell these things, to monetize these things so that they can pay their bills and what have you. What happens to future generations? There's a requirement that you take into account the interests of the future generations.
Very true.
So, on that ground, I would say that this law should die, because it allows, it defines privatization in a manner that allows for people to privatize public land. The Constitution here only allows for public land to be increased through compulsory acquisition.
Right.
You see, you cannot convert public land to
into private.
land.
Quick one. Does the bill at any point, and I haven't gone through it, but I went into the communication sent out by the clerk and highlighted the things that the bill talks about. Does it draw lines on what state entities, corporations, everything cannot be privatized? Is there any red line such that these are critical to national security, to this and that, they cannot be privatized?
No.
These are all profitable, we can
doesn't do that. In fact, that's a more dangerous thing. It introduces in the definitions, again, I'm still with the definition, it introduces something called government-linked corporation. Which is, it defines as a corporation in which the national government or a national government entity is a shareholder with less than 50% of the share capital of the corporation. Talk of KenGen, talk of
Kenya Power?
Kenya Power, they hold 51%, just to allow them to
so Safaricom.
Safaricom and so those kind of organizations defines that. Now, if you want to see now the poison of that definition, you go to Section 4 of the Act, which says, and remember the Privatisation Act is the one that's used for privatization. We don't use the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act anymore. We have to use this Act for privatization of this organization. So they say the Act shall not apply to C, sale of government shares in a government-linked corporation. So if you are going to sell the shares of Safaricom, they're not going to be subject to this law. If you're going to sell these other government shares, they're not subject to this law. It even goes further now to expand this law in at E. It will not apply to any balance sheet reorganization. What is balance sheet reorganization? Right now, KPC is they're about to reorganize that balance sheet by floating more shares. So the government shareholding is going to reduce, isn't it? So if they increase those shares to a point whereby the government shareholding becomes a minority in KPC, then it will not be subject to this law. And there's no law to which it is subject. Then it goes on to look at the sale or transfer of shares by a county government. Remember, they told us that this law does not affect county government.
Yeah, it's just
here they're telling us
the Senate.
Coming to that. You see that? So at that level alone, you can now see the way the looting is being prepared. A highway for looting is being created. So Safaricom will disappear, these other assets will disappear, and there's no law governing them.